Okay, we've gone live, just waiting for the notifications. Hi, if you can see us live, please let us know where you're joining us from. Hi, Sunday Afolabi, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us. Where are you joining us from? So we're live on LinkedIn. Just want to get the notification as well for YouTube. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Fantastic. And okay, we're live everywhere. Hi, Moses from Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you guys for joining us. So today we're going to be talking about, your mental health, stress and work, how we can stay productive in these times, and being able to protect our mental health. A lot has happened, in the past few weeks, and it's been really, really hard for us. A lot has been happening, generally in the world this year, but in the last few days, it's been tough. So if you were on yesterday as well, I spoke about what's happening in Nigeria, and how people in Nigeria and Africans in general are not doing very well with our mental state. I was, one of the people who saw a live stream of people being shot by the military, people being wounded, people being killed, even though this has been debunked, but there's proof to it. There's so much happening, just so much, and we have brothers and sisters back home, so we're hurt. We're hurt by what's happening, and it's affecting us. I haven't been able to sleep well enough because I still see these things when I close my eyes, and I'm not so productive as well because my heart is back home with my people, my family. I'm thinking what's happened, checking the news updates to know, what's the latest, what has the government said? Are people, the injured people, did they survive? All so many things that are happening, and then you still have work deliverables. It's a lot. It's a lot for us to bear. So, yeah, blessing me too. For the past 2 nights, I have struggled to sleep. I'm not proud to say that last night I tried to induce sleep because it was a struggle for me, right? So, yeah, thank you, Sanusi, for joining us. Thank you, Blessing. Thank you, Kemi. So, before we start, Ruqayyah is here and she's going to be helping us. So if you have any questions, any struggles you're having, please, this is not, there's nothing to be shy about. I'm open about how I feel and what I've been experiencing this past few days. I've struggled to sleep, struggled to eat, so many things. And we're human. It's normal to feel this way. So if you have questions, any way you're feeling, please feel free to share. We're here to share and to get help. But before we start talking to Ruqayyah, who's here to help us, we're going to observe a minute of silence for those who have lost their lives this past week. Thank you. May the souls of the faithfully departed rest in perfect peace. Amen. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're talking about stress, mental health, work, and how we can stay productive, how we can manage stress in this time. So here with me is Ruqayyah Abdul-Rahim. Ruqayyah is she's an all-round health and wellness expert and coach. Her bio is a handful because she's done so many things, and she has spent the last almost 10 years in this practice. So she's a certified stress management coach, holistic and wellness coach, life coach, transformation coach, neuromuscular therapist, life coach, NLP. So many things. But most importantly, what she focuses on is really helping us, especially career professionals like us, to eliminate things that stress us, in our careers, things that stress us in our lives, in our relationships, in our health, and helping us to stay committed to our work and our deliverables and being productive. So this is what she does. So I'd like us to get to meet you, Ruqayyah. So tell us a bit about you. Who are you and what you do?
Yes, yes. So yes, I've been in the industry almost 10 years. I started out as a massage therapist 9 years ago. And, really it's been a progression. My career has been a progression. So I went back to school for neuromuscular therapy, which is just medical massage and learning more so about how to reduce trigger points or just that your muscles have pain patterns because stress physically manifests in the body. And so I just noticed very quickly, like when I was working with clients and I would do mobile massage. And as soon as I come in their house, they're like, oh, I'm stressed out about work or their finances or their relationships or their children are stressing them out or just all these different areas of their life. And so being on my table 2 hours a week, they were definitely getting results. We were getting results with the massage, but then they would go back to their stressful life. So I really started thinking like, how can I help them reduce stress in every area of their life? So of course, continue to enjoy the massages, but also, so that their body isn't so stressed, so that their life isn't so stressful. And so that's when I looked at eliminating the causes of their stress and not just at some point, really, the massage felt like a Band-Aid because they're still going back to their stressful life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are the major causes of stress? So like you say, whatever is happening to our mind at the end of the day affects our body. And this is me. I know when I'm stressed, like I lose appetite, I can't sleep, I feel fatigued, right? What are the main causes of stress? What are the things that stress our brains that in turn affect our body? What are the common stressors that
Yeah, definitely. Stress affects people in different ways. It does, it manifests in our muscles and our tension in our body, as well as, like you said, like you've experienced a lot of the commonalities that it has that people have when they experience stress. So they can't eat, they can't sleep. It's affecting their productivity. They can't focus. A lack of focus is really a huge one. And sometimes, people they realize that they can't focus, but they don't necessarily relate it to like, oh, that's because I'm stressed. They don't get that connection. That's really what it is. And so just so many different, so many different causes or, the symptoms and the way that stress shows up in our lives. And, and stress is there's good stress and then there's bad stress. So stress, when it really debilitates how you function in your life, that's the bad stress. That's the stress that's too much. You definitely want to eliminate that. But a little bit of stress, a little bit of pressure, a little bit of so can be definitely healthy and push us to be able to be more productive and do things. But it's just that negative stress that we want to eliminate.
Right. So let's talk about the negative stress. How does negative stress come about, in our lives?
So a lot of people are stressed from overwhelm.
Mm.
They have just too much going on and they don't know how to handle it. That's very common. A lot of pressure at work or in other situations. People are stressed, just their relationships or money. When I'm working with my clients, I work in all these different areas, and and people are like, "Oh, well, we're going to talk about money." Yeah, we're going to talk about money. I'm not breaking down a budget. I could, but I'm not going to sit down and break down a budget with you. It's really like, what is your money mindset? Because your mindset, the way that your a body is, the way that you're thinking about money and where your relationship with money is the foundation for you to be able to, um, to be able to get out of your financial stress, whatever that is. People have financial stress because it's too much or too little, or they're spending too much or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so to get that balance, it really starts with where you developed your money mindset and what your relationship is with money.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So someone is asking, Irebo is asking, how do you draw a line between good and bad stress? So if there's good stress,
Yeah,
I always saw stress as negative. I've never seen stress as something good. So of course that's that's a first for someone like me and probably for him. So how do you draw a line between good stress and bad stress? I don't want stress in any form.
That's such a great question, because like you said, you didn't even know a good stress. Like, what is that? And so where I draw the line is, how is the stress affecting you, right? So, if you're at work, for instance, right, and there's been pressure being put on you in order to meet a deadline, whether it's internal pressure that you're putting on yourself, like, hey, I want to perform well, and I want, or whatever it is, right? Like, that's good stress, right? But if it gets to the point where you can't sleep, you can't eat, you are, your body is totally tense and your shoulders are up to your ears and, that kind of stuff, like, that's negative stress. That's where you can draw the line and really determine, is this good stress or is this negative stress? And then how to alleviate that negative stress.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about, I think a lot of stress also comes from mental, right? It comes from the mind. Mm-hmm. So how do we regulate our minds, especially with everything that's happening? People are stressed out. Mm-hmm. People are having they're panicking, anxiety, worry, fear, mm-hmm. all these feelings wrapped in one. People are crying, people are angry, people are sad, people are scared. Mm-hmm. How do we work through, all these feelings that affect our mind that in turn, stress our body? How do we walk through that, those emotional phases?
Yeah. That's a really great question. And so, what I really like to explain to my clients is that, we're humans and we have feelings, and it's okay to have feelings. It's totally normal, right? We're humans and we have feelings. And so, it's okay to really take a moment and sit in those feelings and acknowledge them. A lot of people try to ignore it. And when you ignore it, that brings on more stress and it really balloons into this huge thing. And so acknowledging your feelings and then working through them. And, not letting it just linger. That's a huge thing. People just really let it linger. And your mental health is super important. The other thing is really guiding or limiting or really being conscious of what you expose yourself to. So, if I have a friend that used to watch CNN 24/7, right? And it's just perpetual, right? And it's that's not really healthy to just get that constant feed into your mind of the news, the worry, all the bad things that are going on. If you're constantly feeding your mind that, then that's what you're constantly thinking about, right?
Right.
Like my grandparents, right? My grandparents, when I was younger, they would watch the news. I don't know what time it was. Maybe 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. There was a 30-minute slot of news. and they would watch that 30-minute slot of news a day. That was it, because all the, they have news all running 24
Yes, true. Yeah.
repeat the same stuff over and over and over again, right? So my grandparents were like, they do that 30-minute slot, and they just got the most of what was going on, the summary of the day, really, pretty much, and really limiting it, because when you're constantly exposed to that negative, the negativity, then that really affects and causes more worry, more anxiety, more overwhelm, because you're constantly feeding yourself that negativity.
Are there any activities we can do to sort of check in with ourselves to make sure that we're not pushing ourselves, towards that negative stress line? What activities can we carry out, or what can we do to sort of check in? Right.
Yeah. I mean, even just something as simple as taking your cell phone and putting reminders every 2 hours. I've had clients that do that, and they just, and it just says check in, and you just spend 30 seconds or a minute, if that's all you have, just checking in with yourself. So it's just constantly reminding yourself to check in, and eventually it'll become a habit. But if that's something that you're not used to, then you just need that reminder, that little alarm that goes off on your phone that just says check in, and you're just checking in with yourself. If you need more than 30 seconds or a minute, and you have the time, then you can definitely take that. But it really is just about reminding yourself to check in with yourself.
Yeah.
Check in with how you're feeling. Check in with, have you eaten in the last 2 hours? Have you, used the bathroom? Do you need to, because I was a workaholic. I really, really was, a few years ago, I was a workaholic. I was working 60, 80, 90, totally embarrassed to say, like 100 hours a week sometimes. I know. How do you do 100 hours a week? And it wasn't like 100 hours a week every week, right? I think there was a crazy 2 weeks that I'm super embarrassed to talk about. I talk about it because it's real, but super embarrassed to talk about, where it's like 1 week it was like 107, and I think the following week was like 117, and it was this big, huge.
Is that legal?
Probably. But I was, there was just a bunch of work to get done. We had this big event that we do every year, and when I was working in nonprofit, and it was just crazy. But but from that, I got burnt out, and I just really dug in and learned how to take care of myself and check in myself. And when I'm taking care of myself, then I'm able to take care of others. That's, that's, it's an example I give the clients all the time. Like when you're on the airplane and, they're going through their announcements, and they say, if you're with a group of people, even if you're like a single mom like me and you have kids, put your mask on first and then put on the mask of others. You have to take care of yourself so that you're able to take care of others.
Right. How do we take care of ourselves first? It's hard. And I say this because I know when you're, as a mom, you're responsible for your children, and even if you're not a mom, you're still responsible for, say you have younger siblings, you have people around you, and you feel, and sometimes you even feel responsible for people that are not even family, but you feel responsible for them. Right. And everybody just feels burdened with, a lot of things that's going on. And there's people, that, say we're empaths, right? We feel everything happening around us. We absorb all the energies around us. How do you take care of yourself when you're that kind of person that, everything going on with you, you're absorbing it, and it's sort of telling on you and telling on your body? How can you really take care of yourself? I'm struggling with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it really is. It's not like some huge change, really. You really start with making small changes in your life. Just like I said, that one example of setting that alarm on your phone every 2 hours, it's those small little changes that'll help you to build a life that you want. It's not going to happen overnight. But really checking in, and when you do notice that you're stressed, then you're like, okay, I'm stressed. Why am I feeling this stress? Who am I? How am I showing up in the world that is causing this stress to be attracted to me, or to be overwhelmed, or to be, filled with worry, anxiety, and all those types of things? So it is, are you in that moment that is causing that? And then how do you eliminate the cause? Because I am all about the solutions, all about figuring out what is the root cause of it all. Because band-aids, are temporary, whether it's physical band-aid because you have a boo-boo on your arm, or if it's, all of the shortcuts and all the little things to do, to fix something. If a Band-Aid isn't probably issue. You need to put a Band-Aid on it. Is it really gonna help?
Yeah.
You know
So
what I mean?
so let's talk about common symptoms like not eating well, not sleeping well. How do we handle these stressors? Because these are symptoms of being stressed out, being overwhelmed, like, and it's just symptoms of your body's telling you that you're about to break down, right?
Yeah.
When you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, you find yourself just staring into the blank space. You find yourself spending more time doing the things that would take you 5 minutes. You spend 20 to 30 minutes. You're spending more time doing those things.
Yeah.
You find that you're also restless. These are things that I found that happened to me, like, and I know it happens to a lot of other people, and I know there's so many other examples of different ways people feel when they're getting stressed out, and they're exhibiting the symptoms. Right? What can we do when we're facing these challenges? Like, for me, a lot of these things I've talked about are things I'm also experiencing.
Yeah. So things that you can do is, I keep mentioning that little alarm, but if you're not eating right, that little on your phone, it was like, have I eaten? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That check-in is, probably really one of the first things that I really try to have clients do, because they're not checking in. They're not taking care of themselves. Other things that you can do beyond that is, let's see, not sleeping. So if you're not sleeping, I guess the very first thing that I would say is, a lot of times I tell people to write down what they want their life to be like, or calendar out their life. So every Sunday, one thing that I do is I go on my calendar online and I put things on my calendar that I absolutely have to do, the non-negotiables, things, like work or meetings or whatever it is. And then I build buffer times around that, as well as, if I'm working on a project and, maybe it's 3 weeks away, then I schedule a little bit, every day or every other day or whatever it is, so that I don't wait until the very end and then I'm super stressed, right? So it's, taking command of your life so that, you own it and you really have the ability to build your life the way that you want. That is super, like, just having that ownership. Nobody can make you do anything, right? And we do things because we have to work. But if the work isn't, what you love to do, or if it isn't, maybe you're really good at it, or maybe just your schedule, you just may be able to tweak little things in your life to be able to build to what you want. And so that's really where it's at. That's really where it's at, is building the life that you want. And it's just little things, calendaring your life, doing the check-ins, making, like, if you're not eating during the day because you're always working, maybe you need to pack your lunch, right? Maybe you need to pack healthy choices. Maybe you need to, look up those choices and see what those choices are. Maybe you need to snack 6 times a day instead of like, I don't have time to sit down and have actual lunch, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
little things that that you can do, and lifestyle changes that you can make in order to eliminate that stress. So get a massage, or just a little things like that.
Really
little.
So getting a massage, do massages help us to also release stress? How do massages help us to release stress?
Yeah, so we actually physically hold stress in our body. Everyone's different, but a lot of people hold stress and tension in their body. And so when you get a massage, especially a really good one, then it's going to release that stress in your body. That tension, that stress, yeah. And it's funny, like, a lot of the symptoms of stress, the not eating and the not eating, not sleeping, the feelings of overwhelm and anxiety. The more you do it, the more stress that you feel. So it just compounds it. So you just want to make sure that you're working towards relieving those things and making small lifestyle changes.
Got it. Okay. All right. So for people who when they're stressed, they don't break down. They just continue working.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting to the point of burnout. I've been burnt out before. I know what it's like to be burnt out, and to you get to a point where you can't even control your body because you feel you're alive but you feel lifeless. Like you're totally the highest state of fatigue ever, the highest state of being tired. Like that's not even tired, it's worse than tired. How do we avoid getting to that point where there's so many things going on? We have work, we have family, we have all these things going on, and we're just pushing. We just keep working till we get to that burnout. How do we avoid getting to that burnout phase?
Getting to the point where you're avoiding the burnout, before you get to total burnout, is really about deciding what the priorities are in your life. So, if family is super important, or work on certain projects is super important. So it's just always reevaluating what your priorities are and focusing on the priorities. And then the other huge thing about it too is decreasing the negativity in your life, whether that is news or negative people that right? That call me, whatever. I don't answer the phone for people who just call me just to complain. Or I might set out a little time frame, or as soon as I get on the phone with you, I'm like, oh, I can talk right now, but I have another call in 10 minutes. Even if I don't, just because I need to just limit how much of that negativity I'm allowing into my life. Mm-hmm. Burnout is
okay.
Super, those, getting, I've been burnt out before. Like I said, when you work 100, 80, 100 hours a week,
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely know how that is. And you feel like you have to keep going, And I wouldn't even ask for a day off, because it's like, if I ask for a day off, that's just going to put me further behind, right? That's just going to cause me more stress. But your body has rights over you. And so when you need to rest, your body will crash. Your body will be like, you don't have a choice. You're going to crash and sleep or whatever it is. But of course, we don't want to get to that point. We want to avoid it beforehand. And like I said, these small lifestyle changes, it may not seem like you're like, oh, that's just a small little change, but it will, help you in the future, right? It will help you little by little to be able to, design your life the way that you want. And, and we, definitely should talk next about, what do you do if you are burnt out? If there you go.
Someone just asked the question, Liliana, hi. She just asked, what can you do if you are in burnout? Liliana is a hard worker. She works so hard. Yeah. So that's why she's asking.
No, I totally get it. And that's next. People are like, how do I avoid burnout? And then obviously the next question is, if I'm already in burnout, what can I do? And if you're in burnout, the best thing that you can do is take a day, no matter what it is. Like, I would just take a day from everybody, family, work, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Take a day and rest. That's super important. Take a day to rest. Make sure you're eating correctly and really just kind of reset, and then start to, create a plan of how you're going to, get out of that burnout. So starting those small lifestyle changes, it really is a small lifestyle changes. It's not so huge, like, I'm gonna get out of burnout tomorrow. Like, if you're burned out today, you can't necessarily get, out of that burnout tomorrow, but taking that day, because you need that day to rest and be able to, take care of yourself, whether it's a bubble bath or massage or whatever. I like to go driving. There's things that I like to do. I like to go earthing, which is just a new thing I learned probably a couple of years ago, of just walking on the earth with my bare feet, whether it's the sand or the grass or, and it's funny, like last year I did 2 massages and back to back, and it just drained me. And I just wasn't used to massages draining me. And I was like, what is going on? I felt like I was almost going to faint. That's how drained I was, energy-wise. That's how drained I was. And so, I ran across the street. There was a library across the street from the building I was working in. And I took off my flip-flops and I just paced in the grass for like 10 minutes. And there's something about earthing. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but if you haven't, you definitely have to try it, because in 10 minutes, I felt brand new. It just like blew my mind. I was like, wait, what? Like how? Like how does that even happen? But there is something about walking on the earth, and that negative energy just drains out of your body. It goes into the ground, goes into the earth, and then the earth just re-energizes you. It's amazing. It's fantastic. If it works out, I would try that. That's one of the other things I would just try for instant relief, and everybody's different, even me, like sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes 5 minutes, but just try that and see how your body feels.
That's interesting, earthing. So I know like a lot of people would like take a long walk or go for a run, just to sort of clear their heads. Something I like to do is also like detach from, everyone and like the whole world. Let my family know I'm fine. I'm just taking some time off and turn off all devices and just be by myself. And even if I have to leave where I am and go somewhere, right? Go somewhere and just stay there for the weekend and just detach from everything and sort of, refresh, because I find a lot of things drain us: work, family, relationships, everything, it drains us. And with everything that's happening, it's easy to become so drained that you feel so weak, and it affects your productivity. And then, as, at work, we still have our deliverables. We have to, show up every day at work and do our best. How do we ensure that we stay productive as professionals, who we have a job or we have a business and we have to show up there, with everything happening. And, like you said, it's not something that happens in a day. Like it doesn't just go away. It takes, all these things we've talked about step by step. How do we stay productive, at work, even with everything that we're going through?
Yeah. That's a really great question. In a professional environment, one thing that you want to look at is your productivity. And so if there are things on your plate that you can delegate them, then delegate them. Even if it takes a little bit more time to train the person how to do it, that's going to help you so that you have less on your plate, especially as managers and CEOs and C-suite executives. We have a lot on our plate, and we're in charge of doing that higher level thinking or, carrying the heavier load. And so if you can delegate, then try to delegate, even if it takes more time to train the person. In the long run, that's going to be better off. The other thing, entrepreneurs, we have to do, I'm an entrepreneur. So as entrepreneurs, we have to do everything. Our hands are in every area of our business. And so the other thing that we need to do is prioritize and, focus on the income generating tasks. So maybe sending emails or some of the other things that we have to do may not be, it's not going to be as high of a priority as that income generating task, because obviously as a business, we need income coming in. So those are super important. Not saying ignore customer service. Obviously that stuff is super important as well, but you may be able to delegate that and hire a virtual assistant or someone to take care of that for you, or just, section off that time so that you can do it. Productivity.
If you're not a CEO, what if you're just, regular worker?
No, but delegating if you can, right, is super important because as well as prioritizing what's in
Yeah.
your job description, right? The things that are super important. So yeah, I talked about being an entrepreneur, but even if you're just a professional and you're working, then you have things on your plate that are super important that you can. And if you have coworkers always asking you for their help, of course you want to be able to be a team player and help, but you also have to be able to say, this is on my plate, right? So I have time for you in a couple of days. You know what I mean? Like I need to, what you're responsible for is what you're responsible for. So that has to take top priority. And if someone needs help, then that's it. Another, thing is like your lack of planning is not my emergency.
Yeah. And it's also okay to ask for help too.
Yeah.
If you're overwhelmed and you have a lot going on,
right.
Ask for help too at work, and ask if some things be reassigned to someone else at that point in time, and not taking on more work or drowning in the mountain of work you have to do.
And then take on more. Yeah. So delegating or asking science to be reassigned, or training a new person or someone else to do the job, or just what you can to help you kind of just regulate that as well.
Right. So Irigwe is asking, how does one find that safe space to recover? Is it the same for everybody?
Oh, it's definitely not the same for everyone. And when I was figuring out, just for me personally, what worked for me isn't what's going to work for the next person. So that safe space, it might be somewhere in your house, or it might be in nature. It really depends on the person.
I love being in nature. I like to go to the beach, take a walk in the park, be around the trees, be around water. That works for me. I don't know. So that's what works for me. Nature.
Yeah. My favorite space is in the jacuzzi. That's like my happy time. I love it. Because I love water and all of that. But yeah, you can just try different things, see what other people's doing. You can ask friends and loved ones what they do, and Google it or whatever, and try different things and see what works, see what you like, see what you love, and really explore yourself, because it's just about you as a person, going inside of yourself and looking like, what makes me happy, where am I happiest, what is it that I love doing, whatever that is, and then do it.
Right, absolutely. I've also found, talking to someone also helps. So a family member or a friend, talking to someone also helps to, just sort of releasing everything burdened in your heart, really, and you just feel lighter, that way. If you can talk to a professional as well, that's great. If you can talk to a friend or a family member, just how you're feeling, and just, I feel, right? Just talk about how you feel, and I feel this way. I feel. Talk about how you feel and just let it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Meditating is also a good way to let go of all the things burning us. Also, journaling and just writing about it, writing down how you feel, and sort of letting it go that way is also something that has worked for me.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. Just letting it out, and and a lot of times when you talk to people, they want to give their feedback, or they want to help you provide a solution or whatever, and you can definitely start the conversation and say, hey, I just want to vent, or I just want to express how I feel, just so I can get it out. I'm not looking for feedback. If you're not looking for feedback, right? I'm not looking for feedback. I'm not looking for it. I just want to be able to get it out. So you can do that as well. And if you are looking for feedback, then obviously you can, ask them or express that as well. But express what the intention is, so that you get out of it what you want out of it. And then writing, journaling. When I was in college, I learned about free writing. And that's just, I would set a timer, 2 minutes, and just write out my thoughts. Wouldn't worry about spelling. I wouldn't worry about punctuation, grammar, none of that. And just write whatever is coming in my mind. And so not even like, finishing sentences or anything. If I was, the dog started walking, and then my next thought was, what's am I going to get from the grocery store? Then that would be like, it's not
just putting down all your thoughts.
Yeah, the thoughts as they come into your head. So if you change thoughts in the middle of a sentence or middle of a thought, then write whatever that new thought is. It's like, it's just about getting it out of your head, getting all of that stuff out of your head so that you can think more clearly, and of course, meditation is super important. And people are like, I never done meditation. I can't really get into it. It's not something, if you're open to trying it, then you can try it. And you can start with like 2 minutes.
Just being in silence, right?
Just you don't have to start with like, I have to do meditation for an hour. I have to be able to do it for this. You can just do just a small little time, and then you can increase it if you feel like it or when you feel like it. Like, that's not enough time. Okay, now I'm gonna increase it to 10 minutes. Okay, now I'm gonna increase it to 20 minutes. It just doesn't have to be like you have to do it like everybody else. You can decide how you want to do it and practice the way that you want, and then increase the intervals if that's what you feel like you want to do.
Yeah. So Tubi says she developed a thing for painting and she finds it relaxing as well. Yeah, I find when you start to do like writing or painting, activities that are coordinated with your brain, where your brain is sort of directing your hands or your legs, I find that that's also very relaxing, and that also helps. So any activities where you're using your hands or your legs, just be your hands. I find it's really, really relaxing. You just feel, lighter after, like painting or sketching or drawing or painting or even just writing, like journaling as well. Yeah. So relaxing.
Yeah. And there is something about that hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
You just release that stress.
Right. So I know you typically talk about some stress tests. So what are some stress tests that you can just share a few? I know you have a lot of them that we could use to check in with ourselves. So what are some stress tests that we can do every once in a while that we can, just ask us to just check in at that point in time and say, am I stressed right now? Am I stressing myself? Do I need to chill right now and relax and take a break? What are some things we can do as stress tests?
Yeah. I mean, checking in really is the easiest thing.
So like, what kind of questions should we ask ourselves to help us check in regards to like, am I stressed right now?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a great one. Am I stressed right now? That's a good one. How are you feeling? Are you being productive? Are you getting enough sleep? When you wake up in the morning, do you feel rested, right? Are you eating enough? How do you feel after you eat? Do you feel drained? Do you feel whatever? Or do you need, more food that's more energizing? Or, or do you need to select a better diet or a better meal plan? I don't like the word diet. Like meal plans better. But, or do you need to make better choices in what you eat? And so it really is asking those questions. What are you eating? And then how is it affecting your body? Food is, is too heavy. And like, how many times are you eating a day?
Because you can also have an eating disorder because of stress. So some people eat too much when they're stressed. Some people don't eat at all. So you need to also check in with yourself with regards to how you're eating, how many times I'm eating, what kind of food am I eating? Am I eating healthy or am I eating lots of junk? Yeah.
Feel like, how do you feel after you eat? And it's not feeding not just your body, but feeding your soul, right? If you just feel, then you need to make different choices. You probably need to look at making different choices in what you're eating. So it really is about how does your food make you feel?
How does the food you eat make you feel? Yeah. And then when you wake up, so there are times when you wake up and you feel tired after sleeping. How is that? Because you're supposed to be resting when you sleep, but you wake up and you wake up with a headache, wake up with a migraine, you wake up more tired than you were before you went to sleep.
Yeah, that quality of sleep, are you waking up several times during the night? It's restful, right? And if you're not restful when you wake up, then there's probably something that you need to change about that. Is it once in a while, or is it all the time? Like, what's the frequency of that as well, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just, oh, I had a bad night or whatever. I ate too late, and then when I woke up the next morning, I didn't feel rested, you know? So it's like, are you eating right before you go to bed? Like, what are your habits, or what lifestyle choices are you making that's leading to that? And then eliminating those or changing those, or just, you know, it's kind of like trial and error, just seeing what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's definitely best practices, but you know, that trial and error, what works for you, because everybody is different.
Yeah. How does exercising help us to sort of relieve stress and, you know, overwhelm and everything that makes our mind and body feel, you know, really bogged down? How does exercising help us? So I'm asking because I'm also not the best at, you know, staying on track with exercise plans, but how does that really help us manage stress?
Yeah. Stress. I mean, exercising is a great stress reliever. So there's hormones that are released, you know, when we're exercising, and then, you know, increasing our heart rate is just super important, as well as, you know, staying active, and it doesn't have to be, you know, an elaborate plan, right? It's just, okay, I'm going to walk 3 days a week, and put it on your calendar, right? I've had to put on my calendar. I don't like exercising. I really don't. It's something that I've had to put on my calendar. This is what I'm going to do. And it's like 30 minutes, just the same thing with like meditation. Start out with 5 minutes or whatever. But, you know, exercising. Okay, I'm going to start with walking. You know, start with walking, something easy or something that you enjoy doing. You like being outdoors. So I wouldn't say, oh, get a treadmill and start exercising indoors. You like outdoors. You could just combine it with things that you already like. Start with 30 minutes walking outdoors once a week, twice a week. You can always build and, you know, add more intervals of when you're doing it, or you can extend the time that you're doing it.
Right.
You know, consistency is super important. Instead of, I'm gonna do 2 hours, and then you do 2 hours, and then you don't do it again for 2 months. You know, it would have been better for you to do 30 minutes or 15 minutes 3 times a week than 2 hours once, and then 6 months before you can do it again.
Yeah. So Iribu is asking, he said venting or acknowledgement of mental health struggles isn't a thing that comes naturally to people, men especially. Do you have any pointers to fixing that?
Yeah. That's a good one. I mean, even for me, venting isn't super easy. I can definitely identify with that. Sorry, that's a little dry. So I would say I would explore writing. You know, it really is like, you don't want other people to hear that. So you can either do writing, you can do like a voice memo or saying it, or even a video to yourself. You're not going to show it to anyone, right? It's just something that you do for yourself. And so writing it down, journaling, or doing audio clips. So just recording it on your phone maybe. And you could listen to it again or not. You could just do it and then delete it. Video that you can do on your phone or whatever, your computer, whatever it is, and you just record it and then you just delete it. It's just like a dump. You just do it and dump it, do it and dump it. And then I would try those things. Or, you know, if you're going on a walk and you're just talking to yourself, you're just getting it out. It's not really about like
they don't label you crazy.
Well, you know, if you're walking like on the beach and nobody's there, or, you know, in your car while you're driving. I mean, there's just so many opportunities that I think, you know, people have when they're by themselves that you can just, you know, do it where no one else is around. I think that's the hardest thing when, you know, for people, men or whoever, they don't want to be perceived as weak or have weaknesses or vulnerability or whatever. So doing it for yourself is between you and God, or it's just between yourself.
Right. That's true. You know, just maybe talking to God. But, you know, also getting professional help. It's not, and men, you know, a lot of men don't acknowledge mental health. But you know, it's something that we all struggle. It's just that the awareness, you know, it keeps increasing about, you know, guarding your mental health. And, you know, it's a struggle that a lot of people have, which is a great question, Irebo. So like all the things Ruqayyah has said is, you know, maybe, you know, working with yourself and then, if you need someone to talk to, then maybe getting a professional would be helpful, but also just try to let it out, write, like she said, write down or create those voice memos. Just let it out so that are you feel lighter.
Releasing it, yeah.
Release it all out. Release it all out. So if someone is asking, says, what is the effect of meditation on reducing stress, and how can one meditate effectively?
Yeah. Meditation, really, the premise of meditation is just going inward and checking in with ourselves, and being in a quiet space, and just checking inwardly into ourselves. And so, you don't have to like sit on a mat with your legs crossed.
Yoga.
Meditation while you're walking. You can do meditation while you're doing other things, but it really is just an inward checking in with yourselves. And so when we check in with ourselves, then we're able to check in and see, what's going on with ourselves. How are we feeling? How are we, are the things that we're doing working? What are our goals? Like, I think about all types of stuff when I'm meditating. And it's just a great opportunity to check in. And like I said, you can do it for 5 minutes, you can do it for an hour, you can start at 5 minutes and build up to an hour. It just doesn't have to be whatever. And so it helps with stress, because sometimes we feel stressed, overwhelmed, anxiety, overwhelm really comes from ambiguity and not really that, just being unsure of what's going on. And so a way to be to get sure about what's going on when you're unsure is just checking in and see how you're feeling and what's going on. Why are you feeling this way? Questioning it and really being authentic and being real with yourself.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So I don't think we have any more questions that have been asked.
Okay.
But it's been really great speaking to you, Ruqayyah, and sharing how I feel. I feel lighter talking about it, and I know a lot of people are experiencing this, and some people have asked your questions, and people are just listening and learning with regards to how we can check in with ourselves, how we can acknowledge how we feel, and let it out, speak to someone, talk about it, journal about it, and also how we can check in to make sure our eating patterns, our sleeping patterns, anxiety, how we feel, and then also making sure that it doesn't affect us at work so that we can remain productive. So and if you want to also learn more about Ruqayyah, you can always reach out to her, Ruqayyah Abdul-Rahim, on LinkedIn, as well as her website. And she's also going to be at the Career Mastermind, where she's going to still be teaching more about stress management and how to stay productive as a professional, and making sure that we don't allow all these external stressors to affect us in this time. So this was really, really good. And we thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah.
Just want you to share any final thoughts or anything else you want to share with us before we round up our chat.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun. Closing thoughts would be, to check in with yourself. I've said it over and over again, as well as, even if that's just sending the reminder on your phone every 2 hours, it goes off and you just check in. You just check in with yourself, so that you know where you're at, and be real and authentic with yourself. It's not about anyone else and their expectations of you, but really your expectations of yourself and what you really want for your life. Because we are the author of our lives, right? We're the author of our lives. Of course, God created us and all of that. God has a plan for us, but we don't know what that plan is. So what we do in our life, it really is just about, we have the responsibility to ourselves to be able to tell ourselves that we are here to take care of others. We can't take care of others if they're not here. You know?
Exactly.
Stress is the number one killer in the U.S. And so I'm just definitely on a mission to help people reduce, eliminate really the causes of their stress, so that they can live healthier, happier lives, doing the things that they love most, you know?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for helping us today to, to recognize the things that are, overwhelming and stressing us, and how to protect our mental health, and how to manage stress, in our lives right now. And thank you to everyone who joined us and, who, left a comment or asked a question. I hope this has been really helpful for you. And I hope that, you stay strong in these times, and just know that there's so little that you can control. So the things that you can control, which start from yourself and your mind, your body, soul, try your best to protect it as much as possible, and don't let the external stressors or external anything that's external to your body or to you make you break down or lose yourself, the essence of your being. So thank you so much, Ruqayyah. It's been great having you here. To everyone who joined us, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Great questions today. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.